Welcome to the Real Film Nerds Podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Real Film Nerds Podcast. Today, we are doing something we haven't done in a long time. We are doing a Tributary review. With me, as always... Oh, you know what? I probably should introduce myself. I keep forgetting to do that. I am your host, Matt Hinshaw. And with me, as always, on the other side of the United States, Mysterious Mike.
Hello from Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
You had to get that in there. You're not. You don't live in an intercourse. You live in the town Intercourse, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. You're not in some like weird porno or something.
No.
All right, good times. So, Mysterious Mike, what movie are we discussing in A Tributary today?
So we're going to talk about the movie Outlaw King, which is done by Netflix. And it was directed by David McKenzie. Is written by, I'm going to screw this name up, Bathsheba Doran. It was a screenplay, and then David McKenzie, James Mackins, David Harr, Mark Bomback. Yeah, I might have messed up a lot of those names, but I tried. It's starring Chris Pine, Stephen Dallion, Rebecca Robin, Billy Howell, Paul Blair, Sam Spruill, Johnny Phillips, Ben Clifford, and this movie is a true David versus Goliath story of how the 14th century Scottish outlaw king Robert the Bruce used cunning and bravery to defeat the much larger and better equipped occupying English army. So this movie is kind of like a sequel to the movie Braveheart, which I love. I think you like as well, or love. And
of course I do. Dude, who doesn't love Braveheart? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting. There's a little bit things that were a little bit off between the two movies, and I'm not 100% sure of some of the accuracy of things, but I like this movie. I thought it was great.
And you didn't look any of it up? I thought for sure you would have, put on your history cap and looked some of this up, Michael.
No. I just go with the flow, man. I just believe everything they tell me, but when I believe everything they tell me in Braveheart, and then I believe everything they tell me in Outlaw King, and they're not quite matching up, I was like, well, I'm just gonna read between the lines and think that stuff kind of happened that way.
So, one thing I forgot? I forgot to do the quote.
Oh, well, go for it. What's the quote you wanted to say?
And I had a pretty good one, too.
Oh, yeah? Do it. I want to hear it.
You could fight for God, or country, or family. I do not care, as long as you fight.
Yeah, that is a good quote. That'd get me psyched up to go into battle. I mean, these battles were brutal, and man, this movie is definitely brutal. Woo!
Yeah, dude, there's some scenes that are still haunting me.
Nice.
I won't, we'll get into it after our bread and butter, but, yeah, there's some scenes that are still haunting me that were pretty freaking graphic. But
yes.
I don't like, of course we're going to do it, and I don't want to do it, but we're going to do it anyways. I still think Braveheart was a little bit better film, but this was a very good, enjoyable film. The thing that probably shocked me the most is how freaking depressing 3/4 of it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's kind of sad. But to turn that around a little bit, Matt, did you notice some of the cinematography, especially in the beginning of the movie? All these
it's fantastic.
Really long shots. Like, it was really cool. Like, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, lots of big, wide open, wide angle shots of, caravans traversing and shots of castles, and yeah, it was nice. They did a pretty solid job.
Yeah, yeah.
You could definitely tell they put a lot of freaking money into this movie too.
Yeah, they I mean, Netflix just seems to be throwing money at all kinds of things, and they've been making some good stuff. Like, this is good. There's been some other movies I've liked from them. Now, not everything they've done has been amazing, but I feel like they know what we like because they have the analytics of what we watch, and then they try and target stuff for those particular groups of people. And then a lot of other people will watch it too, and it just kind of works out for them. But yeah, I like this movie quite a bit.
I mean, I guess, that's a true statement. But again, there's, they're making a lot of everything. I mean, have you watched that show Big Mouth?
No, what is Big Mouth?
Not exactly my cup of tea, but it's done by Nick Kroll. And it's a very interesting... I don't want to say grotesque because it's not grotesque, but it's very risque, especially some of the topics they talk about and how they talk about it. It's very juvenile, but it's an adult cartoon.
Oh.
Lots of swearings and adult topics and things. And so they have stuff like that. And then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have this historical war movie.
Right.
So they're covering a lot of different things nowadays.
Yeah, I even think they make some kid content. I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but I do know that they're making some cartoons and things. And yeah, I even noticed that they're starting to make, there's like this genre of movies that are like Hallmark cheesy Christmas movies.
Oh, Lord.
And they've made those. Maniacal Mags and I watched one of them while we were on our mini moon, so I can attest that they are real, and they're taking on Hallmark, which I guess is a whole thing. I didn't understand this, but I guess quite a few females love to watch those cheesy Hallmark movies. And
my father.
And your father. And Netflix is taking that on. They're making those. Man, I was just like, wow. They're going at it in every direction. They're making action movies, they're making kids movies, they're making adult cartoons, they're making cheesy Hallmark movies.
I love that your mini honeymoon was a full solid week.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's ridiculous. It's not mini. That's a full-on honeymoon. You just have part 1 and part 2.
All right.
I think that's how you need to refer to it from now on. You have, let's just go with Rambo on this one. You got First Blood Part 1 and First Blood Part 2.
Oh, okay. So we're a drifter getting harassed, and then then we go full on to Nam to save some people. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yep. You like it? I like it. Yep.
All right.
All right. So, Mike, tell me why you enjoyed Outlaw King so much.
I think I just liked finding out a little bit more about Robert the Bruce, because I'm going to refer to this way too much, but in Braveheart, where I learned about this time period, Robert the Bruce kind of left William Wallace high and dry during one of the battles and just kind of walked away. And it was to gain favor with England, which they even acknowledge in this movie. And then this is kind of almost a continuation of what happened after that. And it was kind of neat to see how some of that stuff went down. So I enjoyed watching that aspect of it, really. And then, man, I guess there wasn't a lot of fighting for probably, 3/4 of the movie. But when there was, oh my goodness, it was crazy. So,
well, I wonder how much of the historical content they got right in both films, because that was one thing that Braveheart got slammed a lot about, was how inaccurate it was to the actual William Wallace story. All the way down to how Mel Gibson dressed was completely wrong. So I wonder if Outlaw King was more accurate than Braveheart. Because, like, just one example I read about is in Braveheart, they have this love story and this love interest, and he, is hooking up with the prince's daughter, not the prince's daughter, the prince's wife from France. I think that was completely made up for Braveheart, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I think this movie might be more historically accurate, but I don't know. I tried to look up some information when I had a little bit of time, but I didn't get a whole lot. So anyways, it's interesting. I like, it's dark, but I like how you see after they execute William Wallace, how the entire country kind of, goes up in arms, and that kind of sparks Robert the Bruce saying, yeah, I probably should become king kind of thing, or, we need to do something for my country.
Yeah, no, and I thought that was cool because I think that part is accurate. Maybe not exactly how it went down in the movie Braveheart, but the part where they...
oh, no, the way they killed him is exactly how they did it back then.
Okay, so yeah, and then how they displayed his different body parts throughout the country as a message.
Yep, they did that for all traitors, not just William Wallace.
Yeah, they showed that in this movie, and I like that they showed that because to me it was like, okay, so now what's going to happen? Like that helps me understand where they were at, I guess, kind of in the story of Scotland and England, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. It's that whole thing I find just extremely fascinating. How I know it's kind of dark and screwed up, but it's fascinating how that when they caught a traitor, instead of just, hanging him or shooting, well, not shooting it, beheading him or whatever, they don't. Like, they take it to like this super hardcore extreme. It's wow. It just floors me.
Yeah.
And then they send parts of his body everywhere as an example. It's like, I mean, you can't even probably find a site to go and pay homage to the guy. I think they have like a monument to where one of his famous battles was, or maybe even where he was executed, but like his body's gone, it's gone. That's pretty brutal, man, that they did all that for this one guy,
Yeah, definitely.
But the thing that makes this film and Braveheart make me think a lot is about how, England really isn't a country. You have the UK, which is, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales.
Yes.
And so even to this day, even with all this outcry and things that happened, in a way, Scotland is still being ruled by someone else.
Yes.
It's pretty crazy to think about it like that.
Yeah, and with not that I ever want to bring up politics or anything, but with Brexit, I think there's a lot of complications with Scotland because they don't want to leave the Union, the European Union, but England does, and it's all kinds of funky. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, this story, I don't know. I liked it. I like Chris Pine as Robert the Bruce. I think he did a great job. I was a little like I wasn't sure how he was going to do, but I actually liked him quite a bit in it. So
the only thing I was off-put about with Chris Pine is his Scottish accent, but it's a tough one, man. He did a good job, but he didn't do like an incredible job on the accent. but his acting was fantastic. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, yeah, and the woman who played, I guess her name is Rebecca Robin, who played his queen,
his second wife.
Yeah, his second wife. I thought she was great too.
Queen Margaret.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think this was like her first major role in anything.
wow.
Oh, and then, of course, Mike, we got to bring this up because I know this is probably taking your rating up an entire reel. You got to see Chris Pine's flaccid penis more than once.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course it was, and for the 2 or 3 listeners who haven't heard me talk about flaccid penises before, it's kind of like an inside thing. Ever since Game of Thrones.
No, it's outside. It's outside for sure.
Ever since Game of Thrones season 1, with all that flaccid penis, I've just always it's kind of been an obsession of mine, and yeah, we don't usually get to see a lot of flaccid penis in movies or TV shows, and yep. We definitely got a little bit of a Chris Pine's flaccid penis in this, and so that was great, you know.
Oh, I'm going to turn that into a soundbite. That'll be the Real Film Nerds official ringtone.
Okay. Flaccid penis is great.
We got a little bit of Chris Pine's flaccid penis, and it was great.
All right. Yeah,
it's okay. Rebecca Robin got naked too. That was pretty sweet. Everybody likes that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. She did. Yeah.
Oh, and it doesn't have a rating because it's Netflix. Although it's probably like rated MA or whatever.
I think it's TV MA. Like Netflix started putting in all the the cable television things. Like in the beginning, now it says like all the stuff, and I was like, ooh, gratuitous nudity. I was like, yes. Like. You know, those are the things you're looking for. You're like, all right, cool.
It is definitely not a movie for young ones, that is for sure, because there's nudity. It is very, very violent. What do you think's more violent? Do you think Braveheart or do you think Outlaw King is more violent?
Oh, I think Outlaw King like dials it up a notch. Like, okay, so Braveheart's really violent on certain parts, but this movie like seems like they're like, yeah, we know that this is kind of like Braveheart, so we're gonna dial it up, because there's some like battlefield scenes where I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, the final battle was brutal.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely not for little ones, but this was a cool movie. I liked it quite a bit.
So speaking about cool movies, Mike, how does Outlaw King relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Matt. So Outlaw King relates to the MCU by, there was an art director, Jason Knox Johnston, and he was an art director in Captain America, The First Avengers.
Nice. So your reign of tying every single movie to the Marvel Cinematic Universe continues.
Yes. I really think that the volume of movies that have been made for MCU, there is really only a finite amount of people who make movies, and there's going to be quite a bit of overlap.
Do you think when they stop making Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in like 10 years that we won't be able to relate any more movies to it?
Why would they stop making Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, Matt? Stan Lee died, not Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, but still, I'm sure eventually they'll decide that they need to come out with a new Marvel Cinematic Universe and restart the whole thing over again.
Oh, actually, I could see them doing that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess time will tell. But I think for a while, for sure, we'd be able to relate people. But, 10, 15 years after that, it might be harder because people are retiring and the new generation of filmmakers will take over and maybe they haven't worked on an MCU movie.
Who knows? We'll see.
For sure.
Rest in peace, Stan Lee.
Yes, rest in peace.
That was a sad day. But again, as I point out to people, he was an old dude.
Yeah, he was 95.
So,
his wife had recently passed away. And, he was in World War II. We have barely... I don't know, the count is really low, but there's not very many World War II veterans left. But, I saw a count. I think it's in, the 2 digits. I don't think there's very many left.
No, man. There's not. But yeah, it's he gave us a lot. He lived a long life. I would say he lived a very successful, filling life. And for those of you who do not know the controversy surrounding Stan Lee's death and Mr. Bill Maher, screw you, Bill Maher. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know too much about it, but I think I read a headline that he was making fun of it or something, or he was upset about why people were upset about Stan Lee.
He basically called everyone out that is not a child that reads comic books or likes comic books or likes things outside of normal everyday books or news or whatever. He basically called all of us idiots.
Nice.
So I don't know what your feelings are on that. I know you probably haven't read a comic book in a long time, but I like to read them, and there are lots of comic books out in this world that are not intended for children at all. It's just I like it because it's a nice inclusion of 2 separate kind of mediums coming together. You have writing and you have drawing. And it's kind of nice to see the 2 come together and create this cool little book.
Yeah.
So
if it weren't for comic books, you wouldn't read it all, right?
No, I read. I read the internets.
No, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count? I read Facebook like every day.
Dude, Facebook, oh gosh. Dude, what do you think about the new Facebook portal thing, whatever that is, the weird hardware thing that they have?
Oh, the thing that's trying to compete with the Alexa Amazon View or whatever it's called?
Yeah. Or I don't know. Yeah.
I'll pass. I don't know. They look cool in theory, but I don't know, man. I don't need another damn device. I really don't.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. I have so many devices. I keep getting more. It's a good thing I have a really good network, but...
don't get me wrong. I really would like to get, a really nice, good, solid tablet. I have 2 tablets. One's really old. The other one is fairly new, but it's an Amazon Kindle. And the only reason I got the Amazon Kindle was for you and Mags' nuptials, because that was a hell of a freaking flight. And my old tablet would not have lasted that long. It worked out well. I only do 2 things on it. I watch movies on it or I read on it and maybe browse the internet here and there. But I really would like to get, a nice iPad or a nice, well-developed Android tablet. But again, Apple has that market kind of cornered. iPads just run really well, and they tend to last for a while.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I understand, man. I have old Nexus 7, and it doesn't hold up as well, and they're not updating it anymore. Google, and that's their choice or whatever. But I have an iPad that I got, I think, before I got the Nexus 7. They're still updating. I think...
No, you got your iPad after the 7.
Oh, okay. All right. So I got it after the 7, but like they're still updating it. Like this is probably the last update, but it's still running really well, and I really love it for planes because you just download movies from Netflix or Amazon, and you can just watch them while you're flying. It's so nice.
Well, and that's basically what I did with the Kindle, because the Kindle, it was, I got it on one of their sales. I got the 32 gig one, I think. I think it was the 32 gig, without what they call special offers, which are basically advertisements. So I paid an extra $30 not to have advertisements on my screen all the frickin' time. But I watched, multiple movies going out there and coming back. I did a legacy cast on one of the movies I watched. But it works fine. The screen isn't great. That's probably the shittiest part about the whole thing. But it's pretty snappy. It doesn't really bog down. The movies never really bog down. It's not the best for browsing the internet. But, my other tablet, and I think you know this, is the original Nexus 10.
Yeah.
And it stopped being updated, but it runs well for what it is. Like, I mostly use it for when I'm sitting on the couch or in my recliner and I want to look something up on the internet, or I want to read a book or something real quick. That's basically what I use it for. But the screen on that is way better than the screen that's on my Kindle. And the screen that's actually on my Nexus 10 is very similar to the screen that's on the current iPad. It's not the exact screen, but it's similar. And the Nexus 10 is super old. That was the first time they put a screen that was higher resolution than 1920 by 1080 on a tablet, was the Nexus 10.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. No, that's neat. That is definitely neat.
So, I wish I could afford a $400 tablet, but I can't. So, sorry. I got to suck it up and deal with what I got. But at least I got something, because it really is a saving grace when you're traveling. Even if you're not traveling by an airplane, like say when I go and stay at my sister's house, or I'm down in Phoenix, or I'm at my parents' house or whatever. My parents don't have TV in all their bedrooms anymore, and I can't go to sleep without some kind of noise. So I'll flick on Hulu or something else on my Kindle next to, the bed. Anyways,
nice.
We're getting super freaking off topic.
All right. Sorry. So let's.
But it does involve movies, so
yeah. Let's get back on topic.
Okay, so since we have opened up the world of the spoilers, we can talk about spoilers. For those of you who want to know spoilers from here on out. So I alluded to it earlier. There's a scene that is haunting my dreams, Mike.
Which scene is it?
The scene when they grabbed his wife and child that's at the castle, and the prince takes his brother and strings him up. And not only does he hang him, but he disembowels him. And it looks so freaking realistic. I'm like, oh my God. That just shocked the hell out of me. Because when he stabs him, I thought he was just going to stab him in the heart and that was going to be it. No, he doesn't stab him in the heart. He stabs him in the guts and disembowels him. And I'm like, holy shit. They took it to a whole nother level. Like Braveheart, like at the end when they're killing William Wallace, that's basically what they're doing, is they're disemboweling him, one of the things. And they don't show it. You just see Mel Gibson's face contorting and he's being shoved around and stuff as they're, basically murdering him.
Yeah, you get the idea. And I don't know which one's better, not seeing it or seeing it. But man, you're right. That was a really, at that point, I knew that the movie was going to be no holds barred graphic.
Yeah, it was a little rough, dude. I won't lie. It was a little rough. Now, don't get me wrong. You and I have seen lots of gore, especially in horror movies and things, but it was just so realistic. It was just kind of shocking to me.
Yeah. No, it was. You're right. And that's kind of pretty close to the turning point where we get to where they start doing more fighting stuff. Because a lot of the movie is kind of build up and jockeying and figuring out who's who and all the different things. And wow. Yeah.
But it's so depressing until almost the last battle. I mean, because, the first battle where he agrees, okay, we won't attack right now, we won't fight, and the dude comes after, which is probably one of the prettier scenes. Granted, it's really dark and screwed up, where they start shooting arrows into their camp.
Yeah, at night, when they're sleeping. Yeah.
Right, and lighting up the forest and killing everyone, and, it just goes downhill from there. I mean, every turn there's something horrible that happens to William Wallace or the group that he's running with or someone that's related to William Wallace from that point on until the
Robert
final
the Bruce,
battle.
Robert the Bruce.
Sorry. Yeah, Robert the Bruce.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. But no, you're right. It's dark. I mean, his brothers are getting killed. I mean, it's bad. Like, his family, he sends them to exile, but then they get captured. I mean, it's dark. But
it's just super depressing, man. Super depressing. And then it peaks at that final battle at the end, and you're like, oh, finally something good.
Yeah, there's a scene, I don't remember exactly what he says, but one of his lieutenant guys or one of his close ally guys is like, well, you're the king now. This is what's going to happen. They're going to go after your family. And you could just see the agony on Chris Pine's face was really. I think he did a pretty good job of trying to convey a lot of stuff without saying anything, and that's always really hard in acting. And wow.
Yeah, and that's a very, very powerful scene because, I think he says something, it's something along the lines of, you wanted to wear the crown, and this is what comes with the crown. Nobody said it was going to be easy or something like that. And it's true, because at that point, that was right after they told him that his wife and child had been captured and that his brother had been drawn and quartered.
Yep, exactly, yes.
And that's just, oh, man. I mean, I can't even imagine. Granted, he has a lot of brothers in the movie, but still, it's still his blood. It's still someone he grew up with. It's, oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like, natural causes or whatever. I mean, he wasn't even antagonizing him when he was murdered. They were just like, where's your brother? Oh, I don't know. I don't believe you. Grab him, hung him up, and disemboweled him. It's like, Jesus.
Right.
And the funny thing is the prince throughout the entire movie always goes back to Robert the Bruce when he killed the other guy in a church, and he didn't gut him, he didn't hang him, he just, stabbed him in the head. And he uses that when he goes to try and draw support for himself, the prince, and his father, the King of England. He uses that as, oh, you're supporting a murderer. Nobody can support a murderer. And then he goes and murders someone in front of all these people. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Talk about double standards.
Yeah. No, but, yeah. But I like this movie. I have no idea how much Netflix spent on it. But, man, it seems like they did spend a lot of money. But it was awesome. So, cool.
Yeah, they don't have it on the IMDb's.
Yeah, I guess, I think we could talk about this for quite a while, Matt, but what...
Yeah, it's a good movie, and I know you really like this time period, especially related to your own history. I know it has a special little place in your heart, Mike, so I know you can ramble on and on and on and on, and so can I.
Yeah.
Or about tablets.
Right, yes. Well, we got a little bit off topic. But, so Matt, I guess with that, you've got me, I think, the last 2 times, so I'm going to ask you, what do you rate Outlaw King? How many reels?
I think I'm probably more harsh than you are, but I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was good. There's just little things, I'm not going to go into it, but, for the most part, I liked it. The cinematography was great. The acting was pretty good. Violence was a little over the top. The story, I'm not sure where the story falls versus real life or whatever, but I think it was a solid movie. I think it's well worth a watch. I give it a 3.5 reels.
Nice. So, for me,
I'm pretty sure you rated it higher than that, though, because I think you really love this movie, Mike.
yeah. So for me, I did like this movie quite a bit. So I'm gonna do 4 reels, and the reason I'm doing 4 reels is I don't know. I liked a lot of the way the cinematography, the story was pretty good. I know there's some. I don't know how accurate it is to history, but it was still pretty neat. So yeah, for me, I'm giving it 4 reels. Like this movie quite a bit.
Nice. Well, I was teetering, man. I was teetering between 3.5 and 4, but I liked it. It was good. I think if you have a Netflix subscription and you have a spare 2 hours and you don't want to watch The Office for your 5th time through, flip this on, especially if you've seen Braveheart. Oh, that's a good one. Mike, do you think people need to see Braveheart before they watch this one?
No. But if you've seen Braveheart, you would know William Wallace, the character, who's just mentioned a little bit in the very beginning of the movie. And you would know a little bit about the King of England and at the time, and you would know about Robert the Bruce. But other than that, no. I mean, it would be helpful, but it's not a major thing. I think you can still enjoy this movie without seeing Braveheart. Although, if you haven't seen Braveheart, I really think you should. That was a really great movie.
Dude, we need to do a legacy cast on that for sure.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite movies, or is one of my favorite movies. I just really loved it. Yeah, I just really loved it.
Yeah, I really like it too. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Oh, that is one thing that I did find out is the King of England, King Edward I, also known as Edward the Longshanks, as he's referred to in Braveheart. In Outlaw King they represented it more like how he died in real life versus Braveheart. In Braveheart, he dies in his castle like the instant when William Wallace is being killed. And that's not really what happened. What really happened is they were on the march going to Scotland, exactly how they had it in Outlaw King, and Edward I gets dysentery and dies.
Oh, okay. So maybe Outlaw King is a little bit more historically accurate, because Robert the Bruce's father also died in Braveheart in one way, but died differently in Outlaw King. I wasn't going to bring it up, but anyway, I did now. So I figured the point is that they died, and it was open to kind of interpretation what happened after.
Right. Well, and I think Braveheart was trying to tell more of a story, and Outlaw King is trying to be more biographical.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I think. And there's nothing wrong with Braveheart. I mean, again, we've been over this a couple times, especially when it comes to true stories. It's still Hollywood, and they still got to make it super entertaining for the viewer. And if they don't, then you don't get viewers. And there's nothing wrong with a biography. I love biofilms, but if you're going to do a biography and call it a biography, it needs to be 100% accurate and tell you the true story, and not so much a dramatized movie.
Right.
And so there's that line, and I think Outlaw King is a fantastic example. Again, I don't know the whole truth behind the story, but I think Outlaw King is definitely a closer example than Braveheart when it comes to a true story in a movie.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, on that note, Mike, you got anything else you want to talk about at Outlaw King?
No. I think that's it. This is a good movie, and anyone who has a Netflix account should watch it.
Yeah, yep. And just a reminder, I'm just going to do it like every single time. Don't forget to listen to our sister podcasts. I won't go over them. There's a bunch of them. But just give our sister podcast some love.
All right. Sounds good. Shout out to Signals, Arizona Signals.
Yeah, Signals AZ. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Signals AZ. Yep. And I think that's about it. I guess thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Real Film Nerds. Now don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Real Film Nerds. Now go out and catch a movie.